You ready? Go ahead. Let it roll. Good evening. Thanks a lot for coming out. We appreciate it. Thank you. Basically, I just want to introduce our panelists, and the topics for discussion today will be Lehighton's ugly history and how we can make a safer path moving forward. We had a history of a sexting teacher, hazing, bullying, student injuries, and a very high Lehighton Area School District arrest rate in comparison to the rest of the county. Actually, we're responsible for 100% of the county's arrest of students in 1920 school year. So we'll start off, I'm Dave Bradley. My concerns are...
Wait a minute, 1920 or 2020?
1920.
Oh,
that's the last one.
2020. Okay.
My concerns are going to be this, the lack of local government support of our own policies that can be used to prevent injuries, bullying, and hazing incidents. Because we want to properly supervise our students. That's my concern. This is Jeremy Glaush. He'll introduce himself.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Glaush. I'm a father, first off, a taxpayer, second off, and I'm a homeowner, third off. My concerns tonight are about my two children in the school district. My two children, you know, they love going to Lehighton School. They're making good friends there. They're learning a lot. Their teachers have been great. But unfortunately, I don't feel that it's a safe environment for them. I believe that the 5 school board members have completely ignored the community in all of their concerns when it comes to the safety of the children. And that's what we're all here for. We're all here for the children. It's not about, yes, it kind of is about high taxes, but those high taxes can be avoided with proper oversight. Unfortunately, 5 school members choose to allow the administration to run the show. And the fact that the administration runs the show is just like not having a boss at all. And the duty of the school board is to rein in the administration. So with proper oversight, the safety of the children wouldn't be an issue. But unfortunately, 5 members of the school board that seem to rule the school board are the ones that are not providing the safety for our children. So thank you. I would like to talk about that tonight, and I'm sure we'll have a lively discussion.
Appreciate that, Jeremy. Next up, we have Janice Bowman, and we'll let her introduce herself. Thank you, Janice.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank Dave and this. You don't know how much I've been dying to talk to you guys. I have been wanting to save the kids. I've been fighting since 2008. And when I meet people like all of you that's fighting, I get so excited because we win. We win. But I want to share with you what I learned after I drove the Allentown School District crazy. They were different than you in one thing. Their minutes were fantastic, so I was able to dig easier. So I want to share with you, hope you ask questions, why the public school districts will never be safe. I can prove why, and I can tell you how we can change that. And I can prove to you that kids are not going to get the education we had. So that's my passion. I want them to get what I had in school. Dave, I'm sure you and the others, when we went to school, wasn't it the teachers we had that were great that would say, now look, this is my lesson plan, this is this, this is this. Now sit down and write a thing what you feel. We were allowed to do critical thinking. That's what I want. So I want to share with you how we can do that, because I don't want any of my kids, which I don't have any, but I adopted all the kids because my tax money goes there, so I adopted them. I want them to have critical thinking, critical reasoning, and I want their soul to be theirs, not what the government tells them to be. And I'll prove to you how it's happening. So thank you, I'm so excited. Don't my friends crazy, but that's okay. So I hope you have good questions. Talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. Okay. Next up, we just want to hit the highlights real quick so people can ask questions. In our presentation of facts and opinions, every year, Safe Schools PA publishes how we're doing. This is Lehighton in comparison to the state and county. This is offenses that take place within the district. When we look at it and break it down, and we really appreciate all of Janice's documentation of what we have to present as well, but we're going to hit the highlights. This is Lehighton versus our county. We make up about 28% of the population, but 100% of the arrests came from Lehighton last year for the entire county. And about 50% of the placement in behavioral came from Lehighton. Now we pulled up the documents, we won't go too deep into it, they're available online. Between the state, the county, and Lehighton's records, we found that we have 0 detentions. 0. Yet we have the highest placement in DHA. We can review at depth, since we did a right to know, everything associated with that hazing, and how this district theoretically investigated our policies to see what was taking place. You'll be floored when you realize what was taking place within our schools. We had a complaint about a bomb scare and threats to our teachers that, in my opinion, was not properly addressed. We have an Auditor General's report that shows we're not even following our own policies. After that, I'd like to turn it over to Jeremy. He's going to hit the first subject. And if you want, hey Jeremy, we'll just hit the table.
Oh, okay.
Make our lives easy. Works. And if anybody has a question or anything, stand up and be heard.
Taking questions now, sir?
Sure, go for it.
My name is William Everetts. I live in Lehighton Township, Lehighton School District, of course. I noticed the sign says about our students' safety in the schools. And a lot of these incidents that were touched on just briefly at this time by Mr. Bradley, the hazings and the bomb threats, I mean, that just shows our kids need to be protected. And it appears to me, I've heard, that instead of doing something about these incidents, they're trying to cover it up. Like, for example, the bomb threat, that wasn't handled properly by Mr. Cleaver. From what I understand, a custodian saw that when he came in on day shift. I guess this incident happened at night. A child got into school and wrote that they were going to blow the school up on a feminine napkin dispenser, which was in the girls' bathroom. And I guess the custodian went to Mr. Cleaver and wanted to know what was going to get done about this. And Mr. Cleaver, from what I understand, I didn't hear it, I wasn't there, but I was told that Mr. Cleaver's response was, get rid of it. I don't care how you do it, just get rid of it, cover it up. So from what I heard, it was painted over, or it was actually carved in the dispenser, the napkin dispenser. It was carved in with some sharp object.
Well, if you'd like, I can corroborate some of what you're saying. I have pictures of the carving, pictures of what took place, pictures of the threat. This was collected by a right to know. Any citizen that has an interest in getting information, this was a right to know presented to the school, our government agency, these government-run schools, looking for not only the complaint, but what they did about it. And very little. You are 100% correct. So we can distribute that as well, but it's not alleged. We have pictures.
Well, and obviously covering up the carving is their MO, covering up for everything that they do. They covered up incidents that happened in the elementary school, hazing incidents in the middle school, and we don't know what else they covered up in the high school. I mean, there are things that are documented. Their MO is to cover things up, and to erase a carving instead of making people aware of it is what they do. They erase that it happened. And unfortunately, the children suffer from this. The children suffer more than anybody because they are supposed to trust the teachers, they're supposed to trust the administration, and unfortunately, when their needs are not met, they stop trusting them. And then the parents stop trusting them, they stop going to them. And the kids are scared to go to school. Then my kids hear about it, from friends or from somebody else, and they have to ask me about it, and I say, it's the first time you have it, it's up to the school board, covers it up instead of addressing it. And that is the unfortunate part about this, the children suffer.
I'm just going to expand on what he said for a second. Part of that use of language to hide things was very evident. When I did the right to know for the hazing incident, under the response to the right to know, our solicitor on December 20th of 2019 described those incidences as hazing and sexual assault matters and consulted with the school. On the 19th, he had conversations with the district. On the 12th of December, he had conversations talking about the preservation of evidence and a telephone call with Superintendent Cleaver regarding the hazing. And even back as far as December 11th, there was a telephone conference between Attorney Filer in reference to the hazing. So they're the ones that described it as sexual assault originally. The use of creative language calling it all hazing is an understatement. When you read the report that we were presented from the Right to Know and the responses and how the school government, the 5 that are overseeing this district, allow these administrators to only ask the most innocuous questions ever and then have them respond, it's all documented in the Right to Know. We'll publish it.
Now, I'd like to bring something up. You said about your children and worrying about them and saying that. Well, the blocking and the not telling the parents and all that, that's not even the worst part. What the worst part is I'm a sex activist that I fight for kids. Human trafficking to save kids and people. But this is, to me, sex thing in your school. There is a law. Tom Corbett signed, if you remember Penn State.
Yep.
Yes.
Corbett came out with 2 of the, I think they're Democrats.
Pass the trash. Yep.
Yeah, that said, schools have to redo this. And I mean, they made it, this is the law.
Yeah.
Your school and a lot of others, like Allentown, and I'll tell you about all these nice little rape cases here, does not report. And what they will do is pick on the family, they'll pick on the kid, they're breaking the law. So how come we as taxpayers, I used to shout, I went on the radio, I was going on the TV, saying we're going to court. But John Point, attorney I fought him with a Central Elementary case in Allentown because he so much as said to me, that's the only time I ever lost it on the floor. He said, Miss Bowman, we are not responsible for your kids because we have sovereign immunity. You as a parent put them in the school here, so you're responsible. And I hate to tell you, 53 cases here, that's what the court says. Other parents don't know. What is it called, parent local or something? That's what the school, and that's what he told me. John Freund told me. He said, we're not responsible, they're going to throw it out. Well, the only way they didn't throw it out is because they were Black and Puerto Rican and the civil rights liberties came in, and we went to Supreme Court. Anybody white, the court, you lose. They can be murdered and you lose. So you as parents don't realize, you need to do a study at your school board. Sovereign immunity. The school is not responsible. Now, in Allentown, we pay taxpayers. We like when the taxpayers pay for these good things. We pay the insurance to pay for him for the law case. And when it came down, we actually got some money for 4 kids, not the 5, but 4. out of the insurance money. He said to me, Miss, and this is all in newspapers. And I was like, what? He said, Miss Bowman. You know, like, he raised my nerve like Bill
When you
Gates.
say we're paying him, you're referring to?
The insurance. I don't know if you have insurance that pays the lawyer fee.
Yes.
Well, we paid for that lawsuit, which was $100-some thousand or so, and the kids got maybe 40 or 70. You know, they were right. Then he said, no, we're not paying for that. You're not paying for that. I said, I paid for the insurance, my taxpayer money. How am I not paying for it? You know? So they want you to be stupid. So I would like to ask you to ask him,
I'll find that out.
since we're paying for insurance, is it his money or our taxpayer money? Yeah, I want to know. Because they had like 6 or 7 attorneys on that case. And then so much, and I'm not going to talk too much longer, but our judge that was going against this case, because this boy was 12 years old and he was in the state since he was born, under the area of youth or whatever they call it, they were charging the people that got raped, the parents, to pay for the money of the lawyer for him. Because it's a state. The state, you don't pay. We pay, when we're raped, we pay him. Now the other judge, well, he died. The Lord said bye. And we got another judge, and they took that away. But the kids, one kid, first child. I'm sorry, man. You can't go in this case because we didn't know he was going to do this for the 3rd time. He did it since he was a little kid. He has a problem.
We'll focus on that.
He has a problem. But anyway, so he had a problem. So he was out of the picture. So as a parent, we just say to you, I'd like you to bring up to the parents. Do you know that you are responsible for your child? Your child, and I'll show you, there's kids that were killed, and they got 0 reports. Killed, murder, rape by 3rd party. Now, if it's a paid teacher or something, then you can get it. But 3rd party, child, visitor, contractor.
Even though they're supposed to vet those people, like if it's a vendor in the school, aren't they supposed to have clearances?
They might, but it don't matter. Don't matter because you allowed your child to go to that
Well, you have no choice.
I know.
You have to send your child.
I know.
Every parent, all taxpayer money for student education is called free and public education. And if you follow the student and they get to choose which school they go to.
Right, and I agree with that, but that hasn't been around forever.
When you have a situation like this, where we are making up the bulk, and Lehighton, we're making up the bulk of the offenses in the state and county.
Well, isn't that another thing to be proud of?
Per grade, and this is per grade. So if you look at where the offenses are, between here and here for the bulk of the offenses, why are we leaving those students unattended?
Right, unsupervised.
My foresight says, because I read Lord of the Flies,
So did I. It was required.
If you supervise middle-aged students, they are less likely to cause offenses.
Well, yeah,
Common
because they're not
sense, I
going to
thought.
do it in front of you.
But anyway, I wanted to bring that up. So please ask your board, and every board, that's why I hope this gets done.
But I want to write that down. So I agree that you're saying that
Yeah.
with the bomb threat, we should have had a procedure.
Absolutely.
And we should
There has to be
review how that was.
protocol for that situation.
Isn't that
And
called?
the hazing.
Isn't that
Aren't
called
these people in
child
authority?
abuse?
I would
Yeah.
think so.
Aren't these people in authority
Thankfully,
in those
nothing came
positions?
of it.
Aren't they
But what if it
trained?
had?
I mean, how do they get hired if they don't even know what to do in serious situations that our kids are in?
I work at a small
I
company.
mean, the
and
kids
we-
weren't even evacuated from the school that day.
Right.
So
I mean,
I'm going to write
seriously.
this down. So we're going to look at, we want to question the board to find out what procedures for a bomb threat and where they apply. How is our staff trained? And when we hire people, do we confirm whether or not they do or do not have that training? So
Absolutely.
if they're missing it, we can get it from them.
And is that abuse, child abuse? Because something would have happened, like Parkland, the shooting, they kind of knew something was going to go on, and then they shot all the kids. Can't that be qualified as abuse.
I'll
And
ask
let
that
me
question
just
as well.
throw the sexton thing with this. The sexton, we had a case that I caught in Emmaus. The kids, though, were taking pictures of each other, and the pictures got to an international child porn site, and it was on Fox. Well, when it was on Fox, they didn't tell the parents. So where did the parents find it? Fox
National
News.
News.
Oh, Emmaus High School has 4 students sexting on international porn. So my friend went up and said to the principal, "What are you doing about this?" He said, "Well, I brought the kids in there and showed them the videotape of them that it's on there, and I took care of it." And she's like me. She said, "Was anybody in the room with you? You're a pervert. You're not supposed to do that on here." So she called me, and I called the lady that I just told you about fighting for abuse, to report abuse. I called her. She called Department of Homeland Security. So let me tell you as a school what happens. They get charges. Those kids get charges. They have sex on their names, sex charges. So the rest of their life, are they going to get school or jobs? Okay? Well, they don't know that. Parents don't know that. And Department of Homeland Security, because it's international, had a knock on the door. I'm Department of Homeland Security. This is FBI. We're here to talk to your daughter because of the porn pictures over in Italy and blah, blah, blah. I don't hear that told with the sexting case you have.
I don't know, we'll find out.
That person, so you need to find out, because is she arrested? Did she got charges? Do the families know? Sexting charges are sexting.
Will, anything else?
I had something on my mind. So they're not trained properly. We know that. As far as what happened, from what I understand, the kids weren't even evacuated from the school.
According to the right to know, that would be accurate. Very accurate. And not only that, in addition to that, in that complaint, it was also documented that a staff member was threatened with bodily harm and death.
Yeah, I heard something about that as well.
And it's best if we just put it in the complaint and make sure people have an opportunity to read it. It also said here that in reference to the hazing, same complaint, I acknowledge that some of the teachers wanted the union to file a grievance against the administration for not accepting how they handled discipline on the children who were involved in the hazing incident. So if we have an issue where staff members are trying to do the right thing, but either they're intimidated or leveraged into not doing the right thing, we as a community have to support fixing this problem. It's a morality problem. If the board's going to let that continue, we've got to change.
Of course, because these teachers are an extension of our family. I mean, we leave our kids with them for several hours a day. And you know what? I've been blessed and have had great teachers. But unfortunately, there are some bad actors out there, which, you don't hear about too often in the district. But, if the good actors want to talk, they should be protected. They should be supported by all of us. Because, you know what? They're doing a great job. They're doing it under duress. And the fact that they're being threatened by the administration and the union's not even doing anything against it, I mean, we've got to stand up for those teachers that are trying to do right.
A simple suggestion box would solve most of these problems.
Yes.
It also says...
But then they put a camera by it. I mean, knowing our board, the 5 would put a camera by it just to make sure.
And to that, you are correct, because in this complaint it was also said that this person was advised by a few people that Mr. Rentz, the director of the school, was coming for them and tried to use their past against them for credibility. But this person decided to stand up for the students. We have seen that several times now, that when people are trying to effectively restore a proper government, that they are the ones that end up in the barrel.
I honestly have had that happen to me. I have had Mr. Wentz actually utilize his connections within the church within the church that hosted my son's Cub Scout patent, I have had him use those people against me to actually have me removed as a scout leader for bogus, out of context Facebook postings that, you know, he utilized, that he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And it actually happened to me. I mean, if it happened to me, it's going to happen to these teachers. It's going to happen to these people that are standing up, and that's why so many people will not stand up in this community, because it's such a small, close-knit community that if Wayne Wentz says, I'm going to take him down, Wayne Wentz will.
That's the best. Since I've been elected, I have received numerous anonymous letters that I can verify as a government insider to confirm, and then I'll file a formal written complaint form.
Yeah.
So how are these people?
So all you need to do is file a formal written complaint.
They haven't been held
Because the people are afraid to speak up.
I understand that.
Afraid their
I've heard
children
that.
will be targeted. We've seen the intimidation in the past of adults.
So-
How do you think those kids feel?
What I'm asking is, how do you hold those people accountable for threatening other people?
The only way you can, what I did at Allentown, is since I didn't have any children, because that's the first thing, you know, well, where's your kids? I said, nowhere, but I wouldn't even put my dog here, you know, so I adopted all the kids. So they knew I was a safe haven, so they would kind of slip me this little letter, you know, because they'd come in, I say, look, this is the minutes, and they say, look, you see this? You gotta ask questions, you know? And then they kind of put their letter in here, you know? So I would get to hear when Allentown lost $100,000 in tuition reimbursement, blah, blah. I think you have a concern, parents or citizens go
What the
to.
parents need to understand is there's safety in numbers. And if they all get together and stick together, you're talking 9 people on the board and how many in the administration?
And Barb, a perfect example, a student was being picked on for not being able to go to a school event because they were part of the community technical school. At which point the parent wrote me an email. I asked them to file a formal written complaint with us, which we did, and I then replied back to the board as a whole prior to this complaint being filed. I think we ought to fix it. Within hours, I got a compliment from that parent saying, thank you very much. The problem has been resolved. A new announcement has been made within the district that all these people that have their rights can enjoy their rights because someone finally stood up. And all it takes is one. So all we need is to let the world know if it's a government. These are government-run schools. If you don't like what your government's doing,
It's our tax money.
A lot of the problem is that people don't want to attend these school board meetings. They're afraid to attend it. And
well,
say
we
something.
changed that as well. Back in the day when Gloria Bowman and Jonathan
they
Cleaver
were
were not in the
by
police.
and everything.
Right, when they
else.
used to not in the police, that's all ended. So we fixed that. We fixed the right to know process within our district, so it's not being held. I mean, we have a lot of the information. We fixed a lot of the finances. We called in the Auditor General. We're fixing it. It takes time. We need more support. We're moving forward.
We need more people to attend these meetings
I
because,
agree.
like she said, in numbers,
You
they're
need
not
a moral
afraid
board.
of 5, 6, 20 people.
You need a moral board, and we need the people
You
that
have
are
a couple
there.
hundred people showing up, and you got to hold the school board meetings
Well,
If they
to
resign-
accommodate it. Because I don't know how many. That was another thing. The amount of people in the school board meeting in that building. Wasn't there an issue with that?
So many that we're locking them out. We got it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Anybody else?
Thanks.
No worries.
Thank you.
Next.
sorry, long day at work.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate it, and I took notes, and I'll make sure that we get some of them answered. I especially want to find out more about the training, and we'll take care of it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't have any kids in the school district, but I do have kids, and I have grandkids. And this needs to be fixed because the kids, when they go to school, they should be safe. It seems to me we have police officers in the school to keep them safe from outside threats. But the threats aren't outside. There's more threats inside. Thank God we've never had an incident with a shooter or anything else.
Hold on a second. That you know of, we actually did have some incidences associated with some weapons. We're trying to get the right to know on that
I'm talking
one.
about an outside person coming in.
Correct.
Not
But
a
the
student.
problem is most of those incidences, if you do the research of history, it's internal. Look at the kids that shot up these schools throughout the country.
Well, I know
It was from
Parkland
the
in
abuse that
Florida
they're taking
was,
school
that
because
was
they
a
didn't.
student.
When you
A
don't
former
have a
student.
proper government, when you don't have proper discipline within the school, when you have this kind of a trend that they're not looking at,
Right.
people tend to take things in their own hands. If you had a functioning government, most of that problem's go away. That's why it's so rare to have the problem. Well, we apparently did have an incident where a child was bringing a weapon into school.
Well, we've had more than one.
Oh yeah, and it's a problem. So we need to address it as a root cause,
Right.
not covered
I
up in
agree.
circle of wagons. And that's just it's a basic conversation with the community to say, and thank you all for coming. Here, if we have an issue, we had an issue, here's how to prevent it, here's how to keep an eye out. Make sure you don't have access, make sure your kids don't have access, vice versa. And but that awareness
Want our
makes
kids,
it solve
if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
If you hear something, say something. But the teachers aren't allowed to do that because they're silent when they see something or hear something.
We need to engage
The
teachers.
hazing actually came about, that was made known because a teacher overheard a kid saying something.
Exactly right. We need to empower the staff by having a proper board that protects our staff, that allows for them
I
to
agree.
step up and protect the student. If they're not there to protect the students, they're circling the wagons to protect their jobs.
That goes back to one of my original statements, unfortunately, is that the students don't trust the teachers because they'll tell a teacher and then the teacher wants to say something, but they can't say something.
Or
They
does
can't-
say something
Right.
and then it's quashed.
Right. They can't go back to the kid and say, well, I said something and it got quashed.
It is up to the community to hold the board accountable, to make them hold the administration accountable, and it is up to the administration to hold the employees accountable.
Yes. I mean,
But
that's the
it
hierarchy
starts
of the district.
from the community down to the board. You know what runs downhill. So let's give them a lot of you know what, so it gets taken care of for the safety of the kids.
Well, in the end, overall, we are the bosses. They are elected to serve us.
Exactly.
And they are elected to oversee the administration, who's then supposed to oversee the staff. But it doesn't happen that way here in Lehighton. Unfortunately, you
I
have
know
an
that
administration.
well.
Exactly. I mean,
I know it.
at all the
I've done the
meetings.
research.
It's embarrassing.
And the best thing they ever did was put everything in board docs, because now it's all word searchable.
Yes. Yes.
So, Barb, we're looking for ideas for engaging the Lehighton staff to obtain a better result regarding the protection of students in this government-run school. What would be your advice or idea towards engaging that staff so that they can
I
better
would
support
like
the protection of
to
students?
have an anonymous survey done. But you have to make sure it's anonymous, because these people are afraid for their jobs. They need their jobs. And I can't tell you how to go about doing that at this point.
So the board would have to run that anonymous survey and collect the results, because you know if it goes the other direction, it's...
Right, it can't be done through the administration if the staff, and it's probably true that many staff feel intimidated by the administration.
Right.
I mean, that's just how things are.
Well, I'm a numbers guy and reporting, so when we look at the Lehighton report that was provided, and when we have 50% of the students that were assigned to alternative education as part of safety, right?
Right. In the
And we
county,
have-
50% of the students in the county.
50% of the students in the county, part of the county, that were placed for behavioral
Right.
came from Lehighton.
Right.
But then I look at the report,
And they're not showing.
and assuming they don't lie,
And
which
that's
is a
on
big
the,
assumption.
in the Safe Schools report?
Yeah, Safe Schools report. And assuming they don't lie, the number of detentions within our district is 0. The number of expulsions was 0. The number of expulsions for more than a calendar year was 0.
Then why are we paying VHA to alternatively educate our students if that was 0?
Correct. And also
These
out
are
of
the
school
questions that
suspensions.
need to be asked. So,
Right.
Or what if you do, like I said, Allentown does something. Right here, and under their board of directors. You want it under board of directors, and you want to do an executive meeting, and they go over every student. This month was 18.
Wow.
And it gives you the number of the student and like a VG, BC, whatever. And it says, be it resolved that the board of directors hereby approves the waiver of the expulsion because of smacking teachers or machete or gun or whatever. There's
yeah, but a
18.
waiver of expulsion,
But what they do,
the child is still expelled. They just didn't have a hearing.
yeah, but
They
what
don't.
happens, they're not telling you. Do you know where these students went to? It's right in here. We do, this book has, and I give you some information. This is, you want a copy of the checks. Every check that's written that month. Because on there it says,
So you want the invoices.
no, you just want what they wrote.
Check register.
Check register.
Right,
It
which we get.
says Shamokin
you should see the
School,
detail.
LEA, 6,000. Bethlehem School thing, and it's enough. If you count those were the kids we expelled. So, and then you get first student for the bus. So you want to know how much are you paying for the bus? Where are your kids going that are expelled? Now, you also want to know, because I heard you don't have a number on that either. How many kids are you taking in Lehighton from Allentown, Philly, all over? Because they have to go to school.
Right,
So you're paid $5,000, $6,000 to
right, and that's
school.
part of what was not billed and received.
See, we got, no, Allentown makes sure they get everything. So, but no, that's why it's on the revenue thing. You can find out tuition from other schools.
From, is that tuition from patrons?
No, patrons might be your, we have
That's a
patrons.
question I have to ask. It wasn't.
Yeah, find out. Patrons for us was like the Lions Club or Coca-Cola. It's usually tuition from other school or other.
I don't think they list that.
But I'm gonna give.
We'll take your report.
I'm gonna give
and
you-
We'll try to get it copied here.
I'm gonna give you-
Allentown doesn't do a great job.
I'm really nice.
Yeah,
I'm really nice to
After
do
the
it.
court cases with all the injuries, deaths, and rapes that were occurring, they had to go down the path of more lawful transparency
No,
to
now
show
they
the reference to
stopped.
go.
Well, so do we.
They stopped.
Before it
But wait,
happens here.
see all this? This, look, I used to, for 3 years, collect the minutes. These are minutes of the programs, the grants, all of the people that were arrested, board of directors, and I'm gladly giving it to you, because I've been after your board to do better minutes.
Well, now wait a minute. When they did the word for word minutes,
No, that's not what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking
Not about
this.
the documenting of what the minutes are. The recording of the
talking
process and the data
this.
that goes out,
Okay.
so you don't have to do right to knows.
gotcha.
No,
Save the
because
district money.
I even know, and I'll just mention real quick, this is assessment appeals from all the businesses in Allentown that want to lower their taxes. I even know that. So you need to know all of that. I have every contract for buildings, even when they build it and they forgot to do the roof on it. And we could say, wait a minute, we paid how much money here, But no, this is what you need. Now, I did give you one a while back, exactly like this. But no, it's in there.
Well, we definitely need to be given
And I
all
even
the
told them I'd help them.
information
I'd help
that
them know
should
what to
be
do.
public.
Yes, yes.
And
you're
that's
right.
how the community can help the board, and the
right.
board can help the administration
You're right.
to solve a lot of issues.
This should happen on a monthly basis. This meeting right here today should happen on a monthly basis. It should be transparent. The right to know, or at least a document should be provided to the people so you can have an educated discussion to move the plan forward. Are you going to educate the teachers better? Are you going to make sure we protect them so that they can provide the board with information so they can take action? When you look at the hazing, how did those kids get in the building? Why were they unsupervised? These are all board level discussions, not to the state and the district attorney and other issues that they had, but underneath our policy.
Well, I think that what the parents wanted there, and then again, when they removed transportation, but especially with the hazing and then the child that ended up in the PICU.
Yep.
Yeah.
They wanted to know what the board, and then through the board, the administration was gonna do to make sure it didn't happen again. And we got a general, oh, don't worry about it, we have it taken care of,
Let
pretty
me
much.
tell you exactly what they asked in reference to investigate the policy under the
From what I remember when they did the coaches' handbooks, it didn't even say that they had to report if any kid comes to them.
Here is the question. Here are the questions that our athletic director asked the staff member regarding the hazing incident. According to the right to know, on January 13th, 8:17 p.m., I met with staff member who was referenced in the letter. We met in the athletic office at the high school immediately following a sporting event. I'm truncating some of this, right? Here's the questions that were asked. Did any members of the program at any point approach you about any concern in regard to issues or incidents in the locker room? The full answer was none at any point. Did you witness at any point students who were visually upset and or crying? Not outside of football activities, conditioning, or if an athlete sustained an injury at practice or during a game. Did they ever ask?
Now, wait a minute.
What injury?
Isn't in
Oh,
the locker room for practice part of the football?
And at that point, after those two questions and those two very truncated answers, it is said by our athletic director and facilities manager. At that point, we wrapped up the meeting and discussion, and I told them if I had any other questions, I'd be in touch. And that's
Now,
the
I
full
have a
extent
question for you.
of that right to know response.
When did the incident occur?
Question?
Well, do you not have documentation of when the district was billed for hazing and sexual assault?
Yes, we did. The first sign of the bill we show is December 11th.
Then why did it
Hazing.
take till January 13th for the coaches to be questioned?
If you remember, the idea of a formal written complaint.
I don't hear the attorney knew.
Let me
The
finish my
attorney
sentence.
had knowledge. Why was this not addressed sooner?
Because you have a corrupt board. However, to be simple, all this world has to learn.
I am getting angrier by the minute,
I respect that, and we'll have to have another meeting another time because we're almost on our hour.
but I will remain calm.
I appreciate that. But to end this on a happy note, if anybody in the community ever has anything wrong with this government-run school, even an inkling,
Now, wait a
they
minute.
file a formal written complaint, they provide it to the board, the administrator of the
Keep saying
business.
that.
Hold on,
Keep saying that. But didn't someone ask in a meeting, and I don't remember the date, but it was, I believe it was after the hazing incident,
Yep, in December.
to come up with a form for a formal written
Yep, we
complaint.
put it in the policy.
And I believe Mr. Tack said, yes, we can do that. Have we seen that?
Did not happen. No accountability. But let's finish the concept here. You need to have a formal, you don't need a form. A simple email written to me.
I know, I've
the rest of
written
the
it and
board.
said, this is a formal written complaint in the subject.
All you gotta do is write that. It's an automatic government process. They have a responsibility, and that's when shit hits the fan, and that's when we hold them accountable, that's when you stop them from doing what they're doing, and it's a simple process. Once we teach the community that the money follows their students, and they have power over the process by using a formal written complaint, you can hold these guys accountable. The problem we run into after that is this is what they think is an acceptable level. That's what we're going to fix next. Thank you very much.
I remember what it was I was going to ask you. Wasn't there another incident? We're talking about the hazing and the bomb threat. There was another incident where a child was involved that hit his head on the bathroom floor.
That was
That
where I went
was
to
the one with the
PICU,
child
yeah.
and the pig.
That was a
was the
child
one
that
that
was
really
bullied.
concerned me.
His parents were on the TV news because he's in an elementary center being bullied, and he got injured to the point where when he got injured, he went back to the classroom. According to the parent, they didn't catch the injury. He got sent to the nurse. Didn't catch the injury. They called the parents in. The parent arrived. Parent caught the injury. Called medevac. Medevaced him out and saved his life. Without oversight, we run into trouble. So the question becomes, did the board hold the administration of our elementary center accountable to find out what happened, why, and then review it as a root cause so that it never happens again? And rather than circle the wagons and make statements like, it's okay, we're okay, and then demonizing the child that was injured.
One child getting harmed
Yeah, it should have
by
been.
sexual
One too many.
assault or
So there's
hazing.
multiple more incidents that
Oh,
Okay,
how
I'm
many
saying, how
happened
many
that we
more
don't even know
don't we
about?
know about?
Well, hold on. I can answer that now. Because we had 2 weapon possessions, 2 disorderly conducts, 3 vandalisms, 2 possessions of a controlled substance.
Well, that's
15.
the ones that they actually reported, but we had 0 detentions and 0 expulsions.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
when
How do you
And
trust
20
that?
and 22 arrests.
How do you trust that?
22 kids in our school were arrested
Let me
last
give you
year.
a little
I do appreciate everybody coming.
I
We'll
think
do this
you'll be
again.
happy. Allentown.
We now have the
February
banner and the table.
1948 arrests.
Hope everybody enjoys it.
Well,
I know
but it's a
what to say.
much
I know,
larger.
I'm just saying.
22 for this.
Thank you very much.
District is a lot.